The great ship floated in the darkness of space like a mountain made of metal and light. It was called the Harmony Station, and it was the place where many different species from many different worlds came together. Some came for trade, some came for peace talks, and some came because they had nowhere else to go. On this day, the station held a very special guest. Empress Veldra, the Dragon Queen of the Scaled Dominion, had arrived with her royal fleet. Her ships surrounded the station like giant metal dragons protecting their nest. The people on the station watched from their windows with fear and wonder. The Dragon Queen was powerful. Her empire controlled 100 worlds. Her armies had never lost a war, but the Dragon Queen had not come for war. She had come because she was desperate. Empress Veldra stood in the medical wing of the station. She was tall, almost 3 meters high. Her scales were deep purple, like the color of space itself. Her eyes burned like yellow stars. 2 great wings folded behind her back, and a long tail swept the floor as she walked. She was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. But today, the most powerful being in this part of the galaxy looked tired. Her eyes were not bright. Her scales seemed dull. She had not slept in many days. In front of her were 2 small beds. On each bed lay a tiny dragon. These were her children, Prince Kale and Princess Lyra. They were twins, born just 3 months ago. They were supposed to be strong. They were supposed to be growing fast, but instead, they lay weak and still. Their small scales had lost their shine. Their little wings hung limp at their sides. The twins refused to eat. It had started 2 weeks ago. At first, the royal doctors thought it was a small problem. Young dragons sometimes had trouble with new foods. They tried different meats. They tried rare fish from distant oceans. They tried the finest fruits from a dozen worlds. Nothing worked. The twins would look at the food. They would smell it. And then they would turn their heads away. Days passed. The twins grew weaker. The Dragon Queen grew more afraid. She called the best doctors in her empire. They came running. They did tests. They checked everything. But they found nothing wrong with the twins. Their bodies were healthy. Their minds were sharp. There was no sickness, no disease, no poison. The doctors could not understand why the children would not eat. The Dragon Queen sent messages across the galaxy. She offered gold. She offered land. She offered anything to anyone who could help her children. Experts came from every corner of space, scientists who studied dragon biology, nutritionists who had fed 1,000 different species, psychologists who understood the minds of young ones. They all failed. One doctor tried to force-feed the twins. Princess Lyra bit his hand so hard that he needed surgery. Another expert suggested putting food directly into their stomachs through tubes. Prince Kale screamed so loud that the windows cracked. The twins were not weak in spirit. They simply refused to eat. The Dragon Queen watched her children fade away. Every day, they lost a little more weight. Every day, their eyes grew a little more dim. Every day, she felt her heart break a little more. She was a queen. She had conquered worlds. She had defeated armies. She had made emperors bow before her. But she could not make her own children eat a single bite of food. On the 15th day, her advisors told her about Harmony Station. They said the station had doctors and scientists from many different worlds. They said that maybe, just maybe, someone there could help. The Dragon Queen did not believe them. She had already tried everything, but she had no other choice. So she came to Harmony Station. She brought her fleet, her guards, and her dying children. The station's medical team worked without rest. They tried everything the royal doctors had tried, and more. They studied the twins. They watched them. They tested them, and they found the same answer as everyone else. Nothing was wrong. The twins simply would not eat. The Dragon Queen sat beside her children's beds. She held their small hands in her large claws. She sang to them in the old dragon language, songs that mothers had sung to their children for 1,000 generations. But the twins only looked at her with sad, tired eyes. A doctor named Kim Soo approached her carefully. He was a human, one of the many species that lived on the station. Humans were not very impressive to look at. They were small and soft, with no scales, no wings, no claws, but they were known for being clever and kind. Dr. Kim bowed low before the Queen. His face was full of worry. "Your Majesty," he said, "we have done everything we can think of. The children are healthy in body. We believe the problem is in their minds. Something is stopping them from wanting to eat, but we do not know what it is." The Dragon Queen closed her eyes. She had heard these words before. Many times. "Then what do you suggest, Doctor?" she asked. Her voice was cold and tired. "I do not know, Your Majesty. I am sorry. We will keep trying. We will not give up." The Queen said nothing. She turned back to her children. Prince KL made a small sound, almost like a cry. Princess Lyra moved closer to her brother. Even in their weakness, they stayed together. Outside the medical wing, the news spread through the station. The Dragon Queen's children were dying, and no one could save them. People whispered in the hallways. They talked in the cafeterias. They wondered what would happen if the twins died. Would the Queen blame the station? Would she destroy it in her anger? Fear filled the air like a cold wind. But in a small cleaning closet on the lowest level of the station, a young man named Tae was putting away his mop and bucket. He had heard the news like everyone else. He felt sad for the Queen and her children. But he was just a janitor. What could he possibly do? He did not know yet that he was about to change everything. Tae was 26 years old. He had been a janitor on Harmony Station for 3 years. It was not a fancy job. It was not an important job, but it was honest work, and it paid enough for him to send money home to his mother on Earth. Every day, Tae woke up early. He put on his gray uniform. He collected his cleaning supplies, and he walked through the station, making sure everything was clean and neat. He mopped floors. He wiped windows. He emptied trash. He fixed small things that were broken. Most people did not notice him. To them, he was invisible, just another worker doing a boring job. But Tae did not mind. He liked his work. He liked walking through the station and seeing all the different species. He liked making things clean and orderly. And most of all, he liked watching people. Tae was very good at watching. He noticed things that other people missed. He saw the small details. He understood feelings that people tried to hide. His mother always said he had the eyes of an artist and the heart of a helper. When the Dragon Queen arrived, Tae was curious like everyone else. He had never seen a real dragon before. They were rare and powerful, and they usually stayed far away from humans. But now, here was their queen, walking through the same hallways that Tae cleaned every day. He saw her from a distance. She was magnificent. Her purple scales caught the light and sparkled like gems. Her golden eyes burned with an ancient fire. But Tae also saw something else. He saw the fear behind her pride. He saw the sadness behind her strength. He saw a mother who was terrified of losing her children. Tae's heart ached for her. Over the next few days, Tae kept working as usual. But he found reasons to clean near the medical wing. He mopped the same hallway 3 times in one day. He wiped windows that were already clean. He was not trying to cause trouble. He just wanted to watch. He wanted to understand. The guards let him pass without a second look. He was just a janitor, after all. What harm could he do? Through the windows of the medical wing, Tae watched the doctors and scientists work. He saw them try new foods. He saw them run tests. He saw them shake their heads in confusion. Nothing they did made any difference. But Tae was not watching the doctors. He was watching the twins. Prince Kale and Princess Lyra were small, about the size of human babies. Their scales were lighter than their mother's, a soft blue-purple color. Their wings were tiny and delicate. Their eyes were large and curious. Even in their weakness, Tae watched them carefully. He watched how they moved. He watched where they looked. He watched how they reacted to different things. And slowly, he began to understand. The twins were not sick. They were not in pain. They were not afraid of food. They were bored. Tae saw it in the way they looked around the room. Their eyes never stayed still. They looked at the ceiling. They looked at the lights. They looked at the doctors moving back and forth. They looked at everything except the food in front of them. When someone brought food, the twins would look at it for a moment. Then their eyes would wander away. They were not interested. The food was just food. It sat there on the plate, doing nothing, being nothing. Why would they eat something so boring? Tay remembered his little nephew back on Earth. The boy had been the same way. He would not eat his vegetables. He would not eat his rice. He would cry and scream and throw his food on the floor. Nothing worked. No threats, no punishments, no bribes. Until one day, Tay had an idea. He took a piece of broccoli and made it walk across the table. He gave it a funny voice. He made it tell jokes and sing songs. He made it dance and jump and play. His nephew laughed. He grabbed the broccoli and put it in his mouth. He wanted more. From that day on, Tay became the family's secret weapon. Whenever the children would not eat, Tay would make mealtime into a show. He turned food into characters. He created stories and adventures. He made eating fun. Could it work for dragon twins? It seemed crazy. These were not human children. They were aliens from another world. Their minds worked differently. Their culture was different. Everything was different. But Tay saw the same look in their eyes. The same boredom. The same need for something more than just food. He thought about it for a long time. He thought about it while he mopped floors. He thought about it while he cleaned windows. He thought about it late at night when he could not sleep. Who was he to help the Dragon Queen? He was nobody. He was a janitor. He had no degrees, no titles, no special knowledge. The greatest doctors in the galaxy had failed. What made him think he could succeed? But he could not stop thinking about those two small dragons. He could not stop seeing their tired eyes. He could not stop imagining their mother's grief. On the 5th day of the Queen's visit, Tay made a decision. He would try to help. He would probably fail. He would probably be laughed at. He might even be arrested or punished. But he had to try. The question was, how could a janitor get an audience with the Dragon Queen? The answer came to him while he was cleaning near the guard station. He heard two soldiers talking about a woman named Yuna. She was the captain of the Queen's personal guard. She was tough and fierce, but she was also worried about the twins. The soldiers said she had not slept in days. She blamed herself for not being able to protect the royal children. Tay knew he could not approach the Queen directly. But maybe he could talk to this captain. Maybe she would listen. Maybe she was desperate enough to try anything. He finished his cleaning shift. He went back to his small room. He sat on his bed and practiced what he would say. He practiced again and again until the words felt right. Tomorrow, he would find Captain Yuna. Tomorrow, he would share his crazy idea. Tomorrow, everything might change. Or tomorrow, he might lose his job and be thrown off the station. Either way, he had to try. Those little dragons needed help, and for some reason he could not explain, Tay felt in his heart that he was meant to help them. He lay down on his bed and closed his eyes. Sleep came slowly. But when it finally came, he dreamed of dragons and children laughing together. Finding Captain Yuna was not easy. She was always moving, always watching, always protecting. She walked through the hallways with her hand on her weapon. Her eyes scanned every shadow, every corner, every face. She trusted no one. Tay followed her for half a day, trying to find the right moment to speak. But there was never a right moment. She was never alone. She was never still. Finally, Tay decided to stop waiting. He walked up to her in a quiet hallway near the medical wing. His heart was beating fast. His hands were shaking. But he kept walking until he stood in front of her. Captain Yuna stopped. Her hand moved to her sword. Her golden eyes narrowed with suspicion. She was a dragon, like the Queen, but smaller and built for battle. Her scales were dark red, the color of dried blood. Scars crossed her face and arms, marks of many fights. She looked at Tay like he was an insect that needed to be crushed. "What do you want, human?" she asked. Her voice was cold and sharp. Tay bowed low. He kept his eyes down, showing respect. Captain Yuna, my name is Tay. I am a janitor on this station. I know I am nobody important, but I have an idea that might help the royal twins. Yuna laughed. It was not a kind laugh. It was a laugh full of anger and tiredness. A janitor? You think you can help when the greatest doctors in the galaxy have failed? Go back to your mop, human. I have no time for fools. She started to walk past him. Tay stepped to the side, blocking her path. It was a dangerous thing to do. She could kill him with one swipe of her claws. But he did not move. Please, Captain. Just listen to me. 5 minutes. That is all I ask. If my idea is stupid, you can throw me away and forget about me. But if there is even a small chance it could work, is it not worth 5 minutes? Yuna stared at him. Her claws twitched. For a moment, Tay thought she would strike him down, but then something changed in her eyes. The anger faded. Just a little. Behind it, Tay saw exhaustion. He saw desperation. He saw a soldier who had run out of options. 5 minutes, she said. Talk. Tay let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Thank you, Captain. I have been watching the twins through the windows. I am sorry if that was wrong. But I could not help myself. I wanted to understand. Understand what? Why they will not eat. Everyone says there is nothing wrong with them. Their bodies are healthy, but they still refuse food. I asked myself, why? And I think I found the answer. Yuna crossed her arms. And what is your great answer, janitor? They are bored. Silence. Yuna looked at him like he had spoken in a language she did not understand. Bored? She repeated. The royal heirs of the Scaled Dominion are refusing to eat because they are bored? Yes, Tay said. I watched them carefully. They do not look at the food. They look at everything else. The lights. The machines. The people moving around. Their minds are hungry for something interesting. But the food is not interesting. It just sits there. It does nothing. Yuna shook her head. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. Maybe. But I have seen the same thing in human children. When children are bored, they will not eat. They will fight and scream and make everyone miserable. But if you make eating fun, if you turn it into a game or a story, they will eat happily. The twins are not human children. They are dragons. They are children. Tay said. Children need more than food for their bodies. They need food for their minds. They need wonder. They need play. They need joy. Yuna was quiet. She looked at Tay for a long time. Her expression was hard to read. What exactly are you suggesting? She finally asked. Tay took a deep breath. Let me try to feed the twins. Let me make mealtime into a performance. I will turn the food into characters. I will tell stories. I will make them laugh. I will make them curious. And then maybe, just maybe, they will want to eat. You want to play with the royal children's food? Yes. Yuna stared at him. Then she did something unexpected. She laughed again. But this time, it was not a cruel laugh. It was a tired laugh. The laugh of someone who had given up trying to understand the universe. You are either very brave or very stupid, human. Probably both, Tay admitted. Yuna rubbed her eyes with her clawed hands. She looked older than she had a moment ago. The stress of the past weeks had worn her down. The queen will think I have lost my mind if I bring this idea to her. A janitor, wanting to play with food, in front of the royal heirs. I know it sounds crazy. But what else is there? The doctors have tried everything. The scientists have given up. The twins are getting weaker every day. What do you have to lose? Yuna was silent again. She looked toward the medical wing where the twins lay. Her face showed pain that she usually kept hidden. I have known those children since the moment they were born, she said quietly. I swore to protect them with my life. And I have had to watch them fade away while I could do nothing. It is worse than any battle I have ever fought. Then let me try, Tay said. If I fail, nothing changes. But if I succeed, If you succeed, you will be a hero. Tay shook his head. I do not want to be a hero. I just want to help two small children who are suffering. Yuna studied his face. She seemed to be searching for something. Lies, maybe. Tricks. Some hidden motive. His heart was open and honest. Finally, she nodded. One chance. I will give you one chance. I will speak to the queen. I will tell her about your idea. If she agrees, you will have your moment. But if you fail, or if you do anything to harm those children, I will kill you myself. I understand, Tay said. Thank you, Captain. Yuna turned and walked away without another word. Tay watched her go. His legs felt weak. His heart was still racing. He had done it. He had gotten his chance. Now he just had to figure out how to actually do what he had promised. That night, Tay did not sleep. He sat in his room and planned. He thought about stories. He thought about voices. He thought about how to make food come alive. He had one chance to save two little dragons. He could not waste it. The call came the next morning. Captain Yuna appeared at Tay's door before he had finished getting dressed. Her face was serious, but there was something new in her eyes. Hope. Maybe. Or curiosity. The Queen has agreed to see you, she said. She thinks I have lost my mind. But she is desperate enough to try anything. Come with me. Tay grabbed his small bag. Inside it were tools he had collected during the night. Chopsticks. Strings. Small pieces of cloth. Things he could use to make the food move and dance. He had practiced for hours, creating characters and voices in his little room. The walk to the medical wing felt like the longest walk of his life. Guards watched him with suspicious eyes. Doctors and scientists whispered as he passed. A janitor. Walking to meet the Dragon Queen. It was unheard of. The doors to the medical wing opened. Tay stepped inside. The room was large and bright. Medical machines beeped softly. The walls were white and clean. And in the center of the room stood Empress Veldra, the Dragon Queen herself. She was even more impressive up close. Her purple scales seemed to glow with inner light. Her golden eyes fixed on Tay like the gaze of a god. She was 3 times his size. She could crush him with one hand, but Tay also saw the dark circles under her eyes. He saw the way her wings drooped with exhaustion. He saw a mother who had not eaten or slept properly in weeks. Behind her, on their small beds, lay Prince Kael and Princess Lyra. They were so tiny, so fragile. Their eyes watched Tay with weak curiosity. Tay bowed deeply. Your Majesty. Thank you for allowing me this chance. The Queen's voice was cold. Captain Yuna tells me you have a theory about my children. She tells me you believe they are bored. That you can make them eat by playing with their food. Yes, Your Majesty. This is the most insulting thing anyone has ever suggested to me. My children are not bored. They are sick. They are dying. And you, a human janitor, think you can save them by performing tricks? Tay kept his head bowed. I understand your anger, Your Majesty. I know how this sounds. But I have watched your children carefully. I see intelligence in their eyes. I see curiosity. I see minds that are hungry for wonder. Please, let me try. If I fail, I will accept any punishment you choose. The Queen was silent. The room was so quiet that Tay could hear his own heartbeat. Finally, she spoke. You have one chance, human, one meal. If my children do not eat, I will have you removed from this station. Do you understand? I understand, Your Majesty. The Queen stepped aside. She gestured toward the twins. Then begin. Tay walked slowly toward the children. He smiled at them gently. Prince Kael watched him with tired eyes. Princess Lyra made a small sound, like a question. Hello, little ones, Tay said softly. My name is Tay. I'm going to show you something amazing. I may. My name is Tay said 75. I may. 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 He turned to the food that had been prepared. It was a plate of carefully cut meat, vegetables, and special nutrition paste that the doctors had made. It looked healthy and boring. No wonder the twins did not want it. Tay sat down, cross-legged on the floor, bringing himself to the twins' level. He opened his bag and took out his chopsticks. "Today," he said in a bright, cheerful voice, "we are going on an adventure. A great adventure through the stars." He picked up a small piece of meat with his chopsticks. He held it up so the twins could see. "This," he announced, "is Captain Brave. He is the greatest space explorer in all the galaxies. Look at him, so strong, so handsome." Tay made the meat piece move like it was walking through the air. He changed his voice to sound deep and heroic. "I am Captain Brave. I travel through space, searching for the magical twin dragons who will save the universe." Princess Lyra's eyes widened. She leaned forward slightly. Tay picked up a piece of vegetable with his other hand. He gave it a high, silly voice. "And I am Veggie the Brave's helper. I am small, but I am smart. Together, we will find the magical dragons." Prince Kale made a small noise. It almost sounded like a laugh. Tay continued his story. Captain Brave and Veggie flew through space. They met strange aliens. They faced terrible dangers. They had to cross the great mouth of the dragon to reach their goal. "The great mouth of the dragon?" Tay said in his narrator voice. "What is that?" He pointed at Princess Lyra's mouth. "There it is, the most powerful mouth in the universe. Captain Brave must enter the great mouth to complete his mission." Tay moved the meat toward Lyra's mouth. The little dragon watched it come closer. Her eyes were bright now. Not tired. She was interested. She was curious. She wanted to know what would happen next. "Here I go," Tay said in Captain Brave's voice. "Into the great mouth. Wish me luck." The meat piece flew toward Lyra's mouth. She opened it. And she ate. The room went completely silent. The queen made a sound like a gasp. Captain Yuna's mouth fell open. The doctors stared in disbelief. Princess Lyra chewed the meat. She swallowed. And then she opened her mouth again, looking at Tay with excitement. She wanted more. Tay's heart soared. It was working. He turned to Prince Kale. "But wait! Captain Brave has a mission for the twin dragons. The little prince must eat Veggie the helper, so they can all be together inside the magical tummy." Kale watched with wide eyes. Tay made the vegetable dance and sing a funny song. He made it tell jokes. He made it beg to be eaten so it could join Captain Brave. Kale laughed. A real laugh, small but clear. Then he opened his mouth. Tay fed him the vegetable. For the next hour, Tay performed. He created a whole world of food characters. The meat pieces were brave warriors. The vegetables were clever wizards. The nutrition paste was a magical potion that gave superpowers. Every bite was part of an epic story. Every swallow was a victory. The twins ate everything. They laughed and clapped their tiny claws. They made sounds of joy and excitement. They reached out for more food, more story, more adventure. When the last piece of food was gone, Prince Kale and Princess Lyra looked at Tay with bright, happy eyes. They were not cured. One meal would not fix everything. But they had eaten. For the first time in weeks, they had eaten a full meal. Tay sat back, exhausted but happy. He had done it. He looked up at the Dragon Queen. Tears were running down her scaled face. Her whole body was shaking. "My children," she whispered. "They ate. They actually ate." She fell to her knees. The most powerful queen in the galaxy knelt on the floor and cried with relief and joy. Captain Yuna wiped her own eyes with the back of her hand. The doctors were hugging each other. Everyone in the room was crying, or laughing, or both. Tay just smiled. He looked at the two little dragons who were already falling into a peaceful sleep. He had done what he promised. He had made Mealtime into a play, and he had saved 2 small lives. The days that followed were like a dream. The twins ate every meal that Tay prepared for them. They waited for him with eager eyes. They clapped when he walked into the room. They made happy sounds when he started his stories. Each meal was a new adventure. Captain Brave discovered new planets. He made new friends. He fought new enemies. And always, the journey ended with food going into the happy mouths of Prince Kale and Princess Lyra. The twins grew stronger. Their scales began to shine again. Their wings grew bigger. Their eyes sparkled with life and energy. The doctors were amazed. The scientists could not believe it. Everything they had tried had failed. But a simple janitor with a funny voice had succeeded. News spread through the station. Then it spread through the Queen's fleet. Then it spread across the galaxy. The story of the human janitor who saved the Dragon Queen's children became famous. People told it in taverns and meeting halls. They told it on spaceships and distant planets. They told it to their own children at bedtime. A human, a simple human, had done what no one else could do. On the 7th day after the first meal, the Dragon Queen called Tay to her private chambers. It was the first time he had seen her outside the medical wing. Her rooms were grand and beautiful, filled with treasures from 100 worlds. But the Queen herself looked different. She looked rested. She looked healthy. She looked like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Tay bowed low as he entered. The Queen watched him with an expression he could not read. "Rise, human," she said. Her voice was softer than before. "You do not need to bow to me anymore." Tay looked up in surprise. "Your Majesty?" The Queen walked to a window that looked out at the stars. Her reflection shimmered on the glass. "I have lived for 300 years, she said. "I have ruled an empire. I have commanded fleets. I have made decisions that changed the fate of billions. I thought I understood power. I thought I understood strength." She turned to face Tay. "But you have taught me something new." "I have, Your Majesty?" "Yes. You have taught me that true power does not come from armies or weapons. It does not come from fear or force. True power comes from understanding, from imagination, from the ability to see what others cannot see." The Queen walked closer to Tay. She towered over him, but her eyes were gentle. "I looked at my children and saw a medical problem. My doctors looked and saw a scientific puzzle. My scientists looked and saw a biological mystery. But you looked and saw 2 bored children who needed wonder in their lives." Tay felt his face grow warm. "I only did what any parent or uncle would do, Your Majesty. It was nothing special. It was everything special," the Queen said firmly. "It was human. And I have learned that humans are more special than I ever knew." She reached behind her neck and removed something. It was a pendant, a beautiful piece of deep purple crystal on a golden chain. The crystal glowed with inner light. "This is a heart stone," the Queen explained. "It is the greatest treasure of my people. Each queen passes it to the one who has done the most important service to the royal family. In 300 years, I have never given it to anyone." She held it out to Tay. Until now, Tay's hands trembled as he took the pendant. It was warm in his hands, almost alive. "Your Majesty, I cannot accept this. I am just a janitor. I did not do anything worth such an honor." "You saved my children," the Queen said. "You gave them back their joy. You gave me back my hope. There is no greater service you could have done." She placed her huge clawed hand on Tay's shoulder. Her touch was surprisingly gentle. "I also have a request to make of you. A job offer, if you will accept it." "A job offer, Your Majesty?" "I want you to come with us when we leave this station. I want you to be the royal meal performer for Prince Kael and Princess Lyra. I want you to feed them every day, to tell them stories, to fill their lives with wonder and imagination." Tay's mouth fell open. "You want me to leave the station? To come live with the dragons?" "Yes. You will have the finest rooms. You will have servants and teachers to help you learn our language and customs. You will be treated as a member of the royal household. And most importantly, you will help my children grow strong and healthy." Tay did not know what to say. He thought of his small room on the station. He thought of his mop and bucket. He thought of his quiet, simple life. Then he thought of Kale and Lyra. He thought of their happy faces. He thought of their eager eyes waiting for the next adventure. "Yes," he said. "I accept." The queen smiled. It was the first real smile Tay had ever seen on her face. It made her look younger, softer, almost kind. "Then welcome to the Scaled Dominion, Tay. Welcome to my family." 1 week later, the Dragon Queen's fleet prepared to leave Harmony Station. The great ships powered up their engines. Lights flashed and communication signals flew back and forth. In the main viewing hall of the station, hundreds of people gathered to watch the departure. They talked about what had happened. They talked about the janitor, who had become a hero. They talked about what it meant for humans and dragons. Tay stood on the bridge of the Queen's flagship. Captain Yuna stood beside him. She had become something like a friend to him over the past days. "Are you nervous?" she asked. "Very nervous," Tay admitted. "I have never left human space before. I do not know if I can really do this job." Yuna laughed. "You already did the hard part. You made the twins eat when no one else could. Everything after this is easy. What if they get bored of my stories? What if I run out of ideas? Then you will find new ideas. That is what humans do. You imagine things that do not exist, and then you make them real. It is your greatest gift." The ship began to move. Harmony Station grew smaller in the window. The stars stretched and blurred as the ship entered faster than light travel. Tay watched the universe change around him. He was leaving everything he knew. He was going to a strange new world. He was starting a completely new life, but he was not afraid. Behind him, he heard small feet running on the metal floor. He turned to see Kale and Lyra racing toward him. They jumped up and grabbed his legs, making happy sounds. "Story," Lyra demanded. "Story." "Story," Kale nodded eagerly. "Captain Brave. Want Captain Brave." Tay laughed and picked them both up, one in each arm. They were heavy, but he did not mind. Okay. One more story. This one is about Captain Brave's greatest adventure yet. He is going to a new world, far away from everything he knows. He is going to live with the magical twin dragons and have the most amazing journey of his life. The twins listened with shining eyes as Tay began to tell his story. The ship flew through the stars, carrying them toward a new home. And somewhere in the galaxy, people were still talking. They were talking about the day a human janitor saved 2 dragon children. They were talking about imagination and wonder. They were talking about how the smallest person could do the greatest things. It was a story that would be told for generations. It was a human story, and it was only the beginning.